Hi there. So I'm back with a lesson on how to tune with harmonics. I actually had a request from someone that asked if I would make a video that goes over how to tune with harmonics. I think that's a great idea, so I'm going to go ahead and do that today. I'm going to make this video while standing up with the instrument because I think there are a couple of small things about this that are particular to standing with the instrument. So other than that though, everything between sitting and standing is the same with tuning, but I wanted to go ahead and stand because there are one or two special things that I'll mention about tuning while standing. First thing, when you tune with your orchestra teacher, I know that there are as many different ways that orchestra teachers go about tuning instruments in an orchestra class as there are different orchestra teachers. Everybody does it a little bit different, so I'm not going to mention one way or another what's the best way to tune or not tune. But I'll go over a couple of general things, and professional orchestras always tune the same. You get an A, you tune your entire instrument to it. So I mean, sometimes by the end of middle school, some teachers have gotten to that. By the end of high school, some teachers have gotten to that. Some teachers never quite get to that, and they'll put on a separate note for each string. It's completely individual the way teachers approach tuning their orchestra classes. But whatever method your teacher uses, or that you, if you're a teacher, use with your students, maybe you can go ahead and incorporate getting the basses using their harmonics just a little bit. Before we get too far into this, I want to talk just a little bit about what is a harmonic and how to find the harmonics. Now, a harmonic series was first described, as far as I know, by Pythagoras, which I think is absolutely fascinating. Pythagoras, who of course is known for the Pythagorean theorem, during his own lifetime was better known as a musician than he was as a mathematician. And to my knowledge, he's the first one who described mathematically the harmonic series. Now, I could be wrong about that, but that's kind of what I remember being taught, and I think it's the truth. So pardon me if I'm misleading anybody. But you get harmonics out of a string when you divide it into certain lengths of vibration. You get the first fundamental is when your entire string is vibrating. You get another harmonic when you divide your string exactly in half. You get another when you divide it into thirds, another into fourths. And as you divide the string into smaller and smaller segments, you can get different harmonics. Before I go any further with this, I'm actually going to set my bass down. I'm going to do a little demonstration with this piece of rope that I have over here. So pardon me while I set the instrument down here. And hopefully this will just go a little ways to explaining how exactly harmonics work. So I think a lot of you have probably done this with a jump rope or some piece of rope. If I get it going like this, you see the rope is kind of spinning in one segment. This is as if your entire open string is vibrating from the nut, which would be my hand, down to the bridge, which would be this spot about right there where the rope was spinning. Now, if you spin the rope a little bit faster, it'll divide itself into two equal parts. Let's see if I can get that going here for the camera. Almost. Oh, come on. I had it. Just before I started making the video, I was there. I'm going to try one more time. And there it goes. All right, I finally got it going here. And you can see that it's spinning from the tip of my finger down to the bridge at the bottom, but there's a spot in the center where it divides and you have two loops spinning. I hope it's showing up well enough on the camera. And you might want to try and get a jump rope or a piece of rope and try this on your own. That spot in the center that divides the two spinning circular parts is called the node. And when you play a harmonic, that's what you're doing. That's what you're going for, is trying to get your finger right in the center of that node and divide your string instead of the whole thing vibrating, half of it vibrating, the other half of it vibrating, or a third of it vibrating, a third of it, a third of it, or a quarter of it, a quarter of it, a quarter of it. when you try this on a bass, I recommend you try it on the E string first, and I'll do that for you. You probably won't be able to see it on the camera, right? But I want you to experiment with this on your own bass. I'm going to do it on the E string because it's the easiest to see on the E string. You can see that the string vibrates from the bridge to the knot. Again, this probably doesn't show up too well on camera, but you can experiment with this on your own bass. If you can get your finger right there, exactly halfway between the bridge and the knot, you can create a node with your finger. When I do this, you can see, I don't know if you can see on the video, but try it on your own bass, you'll see that you have a vibration here, and you have a vibration here, but it stays still right in the center under your finger, just like the rope had the still spot. And what you're looking for is the place right here. And I know I'm in the spot because the string stays still under my finger. I don't feel the string vibrating right here when I get in just the right spot. The string stays still right under my finger. And if I go too far to one direction or the other, you can hear how it kind of gets choked off, right? There's no node right there. When I come back into the node, the string vibrates in two halves. Now this is not one of your tuning harmonics, but that's how you find a harmonic. You want to look just for the center. Your tuning harmonics are in third position. One with your pinky right here, which divides the string into thirds. You have it vibrating from here to here, from here to here, where your note is, and from here to here. I can get the same harmonic right here, or right there. They're the exact same thing. I'm creating a node that divides the string into thirds. Here, and I'm doing this on the E string right now because you can actually see it pretty well if you get this on a bass where you can get your eyes real close. Again, it's not showing up on the camera, I'm sure. This is your other tuning harmonic, third position, first finger. And there's a node here that'll divide the string into four vibrating parts. Here, I can get the same harmonic right here. And I'm finding that so quickly because I can actually see it, right? So when I'm playing my harmonic right here, I can see a spot right there where the string is not vibrating. And it's also not vibrating right here. So I could touch the string, if I can reach it, just barely in two spots. Because here is roughly the length of vibration of that node dividing the string into four parts. So basically what you're doing when you play a harmonic is you're dividing the string into several smaller vibrating parts, just like when you spin a rope at different speeds. You can get it to do one large circle, two small circles. If you've got a more flexible rope, you could probably get it to do three, right? So you can experiment with that if you've got a nice rope, right? That's how harmonics work. Now, the thing about tuning with harmonics is actually kind of convenient on the bass, and I'll tell you, when I tune with my orchestra class, and every teacher does this differently, but I put on an A, and I'll have everybody tune their A string, their D string, and their E string to that A, because we're tuning the interval of a perfect fifth, which is a really nice, easy interval to tune to. I change it to a G when it's time to tune the G strings, just because for younger players that I work with, first, second, and third year players, it can be quite a bit more difficult to tune the G string while an A is playing. So anyway, that's the way I do it. But one of the nice things about a bass is when you're tuning in a professional setting, all of your notes, when you're using the harmonics, are A's, D's, and E's, which tune really, really, really well against an A. Right here, this harmonic on the D string is an A. This harmonic on the A string is an A. This harmonic on the G string is a D. This harmonic on the D string is a D. This harmonic on the A string is an E. And this harmonic on the E string is also an E. So you're really only dealing with three notes. D's right here on your G and your D string. A's right here on your A and your D string. And E's over here on your A and your E string. If I could give you an easy way to remember that, maybe something you could remember is just like when you play your fourth finger in third position, or playing the same note as is your next open string. This is a D, that's a D. This is an A, that's an A. This is an E, that's an E. D, A, E, right? Those notes are the same as your finger note, except it pops it up an octave. Your first finger note gives you the same note as the string you're playing on when you play a harmonic. This is a D, this is an A on the A string, an E on the E string. This is actually a G on the G string, except we're not going to use that note in tuning. Okay, so procedures for tuning with harmonics. First thing is you're going to get your reference pitch. You're going to get an A. There it is. There's an A, so now you know what to tune to. I find it helpful to hum that pitch to myself. That helps me just kind of get it centered in my head. It helps me audiate, and I find that I tune a little more quickly when I give myself a little hum first. The first string I tune, I'm not going to leave that running the whole time. The first string I tune is usually my D string. I'll do this harmonic, and I'll kind of do the open D also, just to get the fifth and the unison. I find that between the fifth and the unison, I can zero in on it a little bit quicker. So the first thing I'm going to do, which I've already tuned my instrument. Why don't I detune it real quick? I made it a little bit flat. There we go. Definitely a little bit flat. And there it goes. And there we go. All right, so it took me a couple of shots. I actually need to take my bass into the shop. I'm having a little bit of trouble. I have this kind of odd bird D-peg, and it doesn't always like to tune. It's a little bit sticky. I need to take it into the shop and have it looked at. But there's a couple of things I want you to notice. One, I was never trying to tune it, not listening to it. This is the number one most important thing about tuning with harmonics. I'll demonstrate that better on my other strings that tune better than my open D string does. But I always, rule number one, need to be listening while I tune. Because if you're not listening while you tune, it's kind of like if you're shooting targets and you take aim and you've got the target in your sights and you close your eyes and then you shoot. The chances of you hitting your target are absolutely none. One of the things I see kids do all the time is when they're tuning, they'll play their harmonic and then they'll stop and they'll look up and they'll find their thing and then they'll turn it and then they'll come back and they'll play it. And they could do that for an hour and never get in tune. You've got to be listening while you tune. That's extremely important. Okay, so you've got your D string in tune. That's usually the first one that I tune. Next, and I've already tuned my A string. I'm going to make my A string a little bit out of tune. There we go. I've detuned my A string a little bit. I'm always going to start with the string that's in tune first. I've tuned my D string. The next string so the next thing I do is I'm going to tune my A string because I'm going to stick with A, right? So I've got A right here. Here's an in tune A. I start with the note that is in tune, and I'll slur across to the note that's out of tune. I want both of those sounding at the same time. I can hear, of course, that they don't match. Now here's the thing. I'm letting the harmonic ring out. You hear how long that harmonic rings. If I'm right in the center of the harmonic where I don't feel the string vibrating, kind of quick bow stroke, you release, it keeps ringing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, I'm going to play the in tune one, I'm going to play the out of tune one second, and then I'm going to reach up and adjust. Now here's the thing about standing. You've got to have your balance. When you're sitting, you're not worried about the balance because the instrument is anchored kind of on your legs and in your lap. When you're standing, you have got to have your balance. And when students first start doing this, I'll actually make them practice without doing anything else. This position, find your key. This position, find your key. This position, find your key. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until they can do this without having to, because by then the harmonic has stopped ringing, you can't tune it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play these two notes, let them ring out, I'm going to reach up while they're still ringing and while I can still hear it, make the adjustment. There it is. I got it really quickly because I could hear it when it got in tune. If I did this, oh, I'm guessing. There's no way I get it in tune. It'll take me forever. I'll never get it. Now, so I've got my D and my A strings are matching, right? The A is an A. It matches on both strings. Next, I'll usually go for my D string and I'll play my Ds. Now here's where some kids will get confused. They're used to going slurring across this direction. Well, they're going to still want to slur across that direction, so they're going to come over and start on the G string. That's a mistake. Always starting on the string that you know is in tune. So I'm going to start here on my D string again, and I'm going to swing across. Now these are matching already. Let's say I'll make it a little bit sharp, right? Here's my D. Slur across to the string that's out of tune. Let it ring out. While I can hear both notes, I'm going to turn it until they match. And I've got it. After that, I've tuned my D string, my G string, I've tuned my A string. I'm going to come over here with the string that's already in tune, which is my A string. And I'll swipe across A string to E string. I'll make my E string a little out of tune. While I can still hear it. I'm going to reach up and make the adjustment until they match. And that is how you tune with harmonics. Hopefully that was enough to get you going on that skill. And yeah, if you found this helpful at all, please like the video, leave a comment for me, and subscribe to my channel. Hopefully there will be more of these to come. If you have requests for videos that you'd like to see made on basic technique for the double bass, feel free to leave me a comment about that and I'll see what I can do for you. All right, thank you very much.